Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Titan PI TV, where we're looking at the inside workings of a live operational investigation agency, that being here, Titan in Derby. Welcome, I am your host Simon Henson and Managing Director of Titan Private Investigation Limited, Simon Henson. So today's short episode we're going to be looking at, do private investigators investigate criminal investigations? So in short, the answer is yes. However, we are generally instructed by the defence as opposed to the prosecution. So the police are the independent party. They collate all the evidence, whether that's in favour of or putting the person evidence against the offender, or whether it shows their innocence. That information is then passed over to CPS and they make a decision based upon whether to charge or not, and that is based upon whether there is a likelihood that they will get a prosecution, and they have a threshold test. We don't work for the CPS, the police do. We generally work for the defence. So someone that's been charged is at court. We'll be working to try and mitigate or counter the police's evidence. So these are very different to private or corporate investigations, and the reason they're different is because of legislation, and I'll come on to some of those legislation types later on. So we have to be really careful and stick to stringent procedures, legislation and guidelines in regarding to gathering, retaining and presenting evidence at court. So it is absolutely paramount that a private investigator is aware of that legislation and also how to go about the lawful gathering, retaining and then presenting. For example, during a surveillance, if it is going to be of a criminal nature, a surveillance log needs to be kept throughout the surveillance, and that surveillance log needs to be updated contemporaneously. That means as soon as practicable. Ideally, it needs to be updated. It's effectively a pocket notebook of the surveillance team. It's their evidence. The operational commander also needs to complete an SMR, or a surveillance management record. This outlines all the decisions that the manager of that surveillance makes and why. Titan has been involved in a number of criminal cases working on behalf of the prosecution. Majority, or in fact all of our cases, have been people or individuals who have been charged with murder. They are on trial at court, and Titan has been requested, because of our background, which I'll come on to in a moment, to counter the police evidence. Whether that be CCTV evidence, the police have said there is no way that the suspect, the person charged, could have left the scene of that crime without being seen on CCTV. So we would go and do a full recce, list all of the CCTV cameras, and we would find whether there are or there aren't black spots in that CCTV. We've also had other cases where there has been a shooting of someone who has tragically been murdered, and our suspect, the person who had been charged, was accused of being a watch out for the team who murdered the individual. We were able to take images of where the person charged was standing, and we're able to say that there's no way that our client could have possibly been a lookout and been able to trigger the people who committed the murder to come in and commit it. So we have 100% track record so far. We have been going for 9 years now. A little bit about my background. I did 17 years with the police service. 7 of those were working in counter-terror investigations, where I was a detective sergeant running the investigation and the surveillance team, and also I have been a sergeant for 4 years on a unit which looked at serious organised crime syndicates and trying to disrupt their behaviour. So I am well versed with being an exhibit officer. I am well versed with how to retain, gather and exhibit evidence at court. So what legislation does a private investigator need to know inside out to be able to conduct a criminal investigation? Well, first of all, there's the Criminal Procedure Investigation Act of 1996. This is all regards of how we gather information, retain it and present it at court. We need to know the Police and Criminal Evidence Act, or PACE, of 1984. We need to know the Data Protection Act of 2018. That was updated in 2018 when GDPR came in. And we also need to know RIPA, the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act 2000. These are all key to criminal investigations. And if a private investigator does not know these areas in detail, then I would suggest that they are not right to be working on a criminal case. Research the company, the private investigation company, on Companies House. What date were they incorporated? Is it a fairly recently incorporated or a company which was established? Look at the directorships or the secretaries. If you look at them individually, have they had other private investigation agencies which have opened and closed? That would be a trigger for me. Are they a member of a recognised investigation agency or body? So, for example, there is the IPI, the Institute of Professional Investigators, or the ABI, the Association of British Investigators. Those are two of the most recognised professional bodies within our industry. I would also recommend checking Google reviews. Have they got legitimate Google reviews? How do they rate? If they've got negative ones, why have they got negative ones? Are they ICO registered? So the Information Commissioner's Office. This is all in regards to handling personal information and falls hand in hand with the data protection regulation. And do they have a physical address? Maybe not an office, maybe they work from home, maybe they have a virtual office. However, you need to have an address. What if all this work is conducted and then it gets to court and a witness summons needs to be sent to bring the PI to the court to be able to be cross-examined, for example? If you're not able to then contact them, then all their work has been a waste of time. So that is a very short insight into whether private investigators investigate criminal investigations. Answer in short, yes, but they need to be very aware and knowledgeable and experienced in criminal behaviour and also all the legislation. So thank you for listening to another episode of Titan PI TV. Please give us a thumbs up. If you don't want to miss any further episodes, then please subscribe to the channel. Until then, thank you for listening.